All right, back up for some more. I did want to mention GMT got back to me about the Hitler's Reich rulebook. And they gave me kind of a non-answer. I mean, I'm not being charged, but I was sent it because I was on their list. I'm wondering if they send it to everybody who is kind of a mail order customer, or you would think they would keep track of who actually has the game. So, I don't know. All right. We had plans with the Poles, didn't we? We have two diplomacy there, which is enough for us to burn a spy network one. All right. Well, what do we want to do? We could sabotage reputations. Terrible, because we have to have cubes to do that. So Discord, add 2 unrest to target opponents' stuff, or support rebels, which forces the neither one of these uses 2 cubes. That's a shame, because I got to use 2 of my real cubes to burn one of these useless things that I never should have had. I mean, under reasonable circumstances, I would probably say, just like you can remove cubes from here, you should be able to remove them from these. I don't think there's anything that specifies that you can, but it seems like, you know, you shouldn't be limited by your cubes that are sitting on those cards that you may have put there stupidly. These things you might be forced to put down, right? So it's absolutely vital that you be able to remove some of them. But yeah, what do I want to do? Do I want to create some unrest, or do I want to force someone to roll dice? Well, Spain is winning the game, but Turkey is my nearby opponent. So we'll screw with our opponent because nobody else is. And I'll just burn these. And let's create some unrest on the border. 2 goes into debt. It's just necessary to fight these wars, right? You know, I was opposed to going into debt when it was just to, like, operate. But at this point, I feel like it's necessary. Now, some people are overboard. The Spaniards are overboard, but they did not want this English war. They got pushed into something they don't want, and now they're going to try to win it. But for the Turks, I had to build up. I did not have to, but I built up my entire army because I get a bonus out of that, and I built up a nice little galley fleet, and we'll absorb this, I guess, as well. Our intention is to fight in the Adriatic Sea. But first we have to take at least one of these ports, and probably both of them, and then move into Naples. This is going to be tough. It's going to take up a lot of cubes. I may have to do a reorg, but I have a lot. However, I've got more than 9 units and all of my forces built. So I have built the force limit, which will get me 5 victory points. And I think that's $5. That'll help. It's most of the debt. And we're the first person to reach that goal. Yay! Could have cleared up some of the issues, but the Italian War seems like it's time to do it. You know, somebody's got to pay attention to this shit, right? Aragon, Tunisia, Naples, Lombardy, Flanders, and Wallonia. Okay, Spain may have this. Keeping track of these is so fucking impossible for me. Have claims and alliances in 2 or more of the following. Aragon, I do not anymore. Oops. I have a marriage, and I have a vassal, and I can't have a claim anymore. Tunisia, no. Naples, no. Lombardy, I may have had this at one point. Flanders and Wallonia, I have one. Lower Saxony, Bohemia, and Prussia, no. Or I may have just avoided, you know, being able to get it. This is a hard one to notice. out of all of them. A lot of the others are pretty easy comparatively. Anyway, that's it for the Turks. Fire off a Siege of Bordeaux. That eats up a cube on both theirs and the British positions because they've got a town in play and the Brits have now been knocked out of there. This action is going to be a naval move. I'm going to conglomerate this and this, a light ship in my fleet, into there. Now, I got to check the English because there are cards, naval cards, and I know they have a naval card, that allow you to do interceptions. Naval maneuver, or move a ship up to 3 spaces, avoiding any naval battles in sea zones you pass through. No, this is not the one. Which means the Spaniards now get to position their army. I'm able to carry 6 strength points. 2, 4, 6, that's what I have. I'll move into Wessex and Wales. Boy, that's a body blow for you, isn't it? I'm able to do that because I've got 2 ships in each area to transport it. And I spent my cube. That puts it on the English. They're not happy. I don't know what to do. I can cut the Spanish fleet off, or I could transport over and fight. My army is 2, 4, 6, 7 with an iffy commander. They have a much better commander. They have somewhat better technology than I do with the military drill, so they'll be taking another die away from me. I think I'm going to go for the naval battle. I'll collect these 2 ships. So now I have 4 ships in play against 2 Spanish ships. I feel like those odds are pretty good, so I don't want to blow another cube in the battle. However, as I grab the naval dice for the first time in a while, if at all, I mean, I've used them as artillery dice, right? The Spanish may have something. Nope. They also might have capabilities that are automatic that are present on those cards. Again, there's a lot to keep track of. But here comes the English attack. I got 2 hits on the Spanish fleet. So we have taken their fleet out. And the Spanish come back with 1 hit on the English fleet. That gets me a cube back for a military victory. And we move over to the Austrians. And this is how war works in this, right? You know, it's kind of at the level of like, here I stand. Maybe even a little lighter. I don't know. It's buckets of dice. They're different dice. There's cards to be laying it. It feels kind of like it. You move one thing, it might generate a fight. You roll some dice, you have your effect. It really is at that level, which is desperately at odds with the old EU board game, which really had a detailed combat situation. What it might indicate, you know, if you look at the computer game does not work this lightly. It works on a model that is similar to the old EU, where, you know, forces are sitting there and they're attritioning each other as they're in the same area fighting. And, you know, there's just a lot going on in there with morale and all kind of shit like that. There doesn't appear to be anything like that in this. However, if you play EU without paying a lot of attention to what is happening in the individual battles, it looks kind of like this, right? You know, you slam something into something and it wins or loses. You know, it takes some time, but that's because it's an RTS. But yeah, the underlying model is much more complicated in the computer game. Perhaps more complicated than in the original board game. But as a player, you don't have to pay attention to that. So this kind of captures the feeling that the players have, if not the model that's in use. I realized my thinking, I fucked up. I was thinking just in terms of the outcome of the alliance, but that alliance had a goal. It had this subjugate marker for the Austrians. So we got to do it again. Another cube, another alliance. It's the one we can't use, which we will put someplace we don't have a vassal yet. We'll put this down in Siena because that's hard to defend, especially with the Turks coming up. Genoa's too expensive for us to convert. Piedmont is part of Savoy. We may not have much choice. We could grab Mantua. It's not a port. Ports have their value. Yeah, screw it. We'll go for Siena anyway. And I don't know how to represent. And that's the create alliances. That one will allow us to subjugate next turn. I might have rolled things back if I didn't have the cubes available to actually vassalize someone. That puts us back on the poles. I went around once. I need tea. So break time. Okay, one of my longtime viewers and a producer himself, Kalismar, pointed out something that I missed, which is way back here on Rule 2.2. When short on cubes, players may freely take one of their cubes from anywhere other than the Roman cardinal, change national focus slot, and cubes used to cover income slots on their player mounts. So, yeah, these cards are not an absolute bone. That's the thing I was kind of, looking to correct. Like, I would just say, yeah, you should at least be able to take them from there. You can take them from almost anywhere, except for the negative place and the Papal Curia and the other negative place, which is where they're filling your town so you don't get the income for them. All of those make sense to me. And I will be moving forward in that way. Maybe too late for Poland. Certainly some players would have gotten rid of, especially these cubes on the spy networks. They're just a fucking waste. It seems like a good idea. It's a cheap card. It only costs a cube to play, and look at all this capability it gives me. Yeah, but it gives you most of that capability, honestly, when you're down to one cube on the card, which is kind of interesting. So clearly I'm in favor of this. Why didn't I notice this? Because somewhere else, and I can't point to where, it basically says you can remove the cubes from on the board, from your diplomatic contests. Now, if you have that kind of flexibility with your cubes, if you're not like handcuffed by them, these cards don't become such a pain in the royal ass, literally, and especially if you sit on them. And so yeah, that clears up a big disagreement I had. Now, it would be very possible for me to be an intransigent player who refused to remove my cubes. I did it here. I want those cubes, man. I couldn't get rid of them, but refusing to take them from here, yeah, I will take them as needed from now on. And, hey, instead of Poland having its golden era, it's already kind of struggling, right? And it's because of certain, deficiencies in understanding of the rules or whatever. Because I definitely would have cleared some of these out in exchange for getting my monarch power. I do want the ones on the diplomatic side of things. And I would make that argument for most of the powers. Austria, maybe they want less. Maybe they want less influence cubes. If you're used to my content in general, I don't mind fucking something up. Even something pretty bad, like making Poland a neutered power in its most important stage. And continuing on. I'm not going to restart. I actually feel like the first playing of something like this Unfortunately, I may never get another, but it is a learning game. It's meant to make significant mistakes of this nature. All right, so on to the poles. They have basically nothing they can do anymore. I've worn my welcome out. I got my pass already. I'll pay off my loan because leaving them lying around at the end of the turn is a bad idea. At least I have cash, right? And what else? Let's make sure there's nothing I want to do right off the bat. Yep. Okay. So that pushes me to the Turks. Hey, Turks pay a cube to fight. What the hell, man? And we're gonna march here into Kosovo. And we have to fight a battle. Now, this is adjacent, this is adjacent. This is not, because it faces that sea, and not this one. By the way, I had to remove the cubes there. I also took the pass money, in case you're like watching carefully and like, oh, you forgot that. Yeah. I did, but okay. So we're looking at a 3-army situation. That, I believe, generates a possible general, but let me figure out what my own general situation is. 2 extra white dice. My military situation, I have all the bonuses, which means tercios bonus, and I take a die away from the enemy. So his base is 2. His general is non-existent. So it looks good to me. I get 3 dice base, 2 more for Bayezid. Oh, he's good. I'm used to him. And that's it. And I should have a couple of soldiers out there that I don't have. Okay, well, I got tons of hits. I have no... Oh, I even have Cav with this army. What the hell? So there were 3 armies. They're all wounded. And he's down to 2 dice to come back. Oh, you know, I forgot to pay attention. It didn't happen. Every pair of these in a naval combat, it couldn't happen, actually, results in the capture of a heavy ship. But there are no heavy ships out yet. Nobody has that kind of money. So the Turks take 1 loss. Still haven't got my stability up. That was one of my plans. I failed at it. Successful battle, though, means I get a cube back. But I don't get the time back, right? I can't immediately launch a siege at this point. This is not an island. This is kind of weird. Sieging ports is perfectly easy. Sieging islands requires a fleet. And the islands are the little blue things, which I keep confusing for the uncreated ones, which they say are grayed out. Well, there aren't going to be any in the European map, but I'm looking here, and it's kind of tough for me to see the difference. These, I think, are grayed out. These, I think, are islands, but I'm not sure. It may simply be a matter of lighting. Like, a lot of these look like they should be islands, but they look the same color as stuff that isn't. So, I don't know. I have 1 big army sitting here. It's blockading those English from doing anything nasty. So I just spend another cube and march up into here. This is going to be expensive to siege. The other one was cheap because I have an artillery piece. This one's going to cost me 3 if I want to siege them all at once. 2 if I take my time on the sieges. And then I can move this little army 1-2 spaces to fight the Brits. But I can't combine my armies and fight the Brits. There's nothing like the naval combination aspect. In an interesting position. I could march on London, essentially, instead of where I'm at. There's no supply issues in this game. And I buy that right now, right? There's, late in the game, I'm not so happy with the idea of being able to live off the land as much as you're able to in this period. But yeah. So I have a few choices. I have an artillery, I could spend a cube, and I could siege 2 of those towns. And that was my initial plan. That's going to cause another fucking mess that I don't know how to represent. I really don't. Because things will be covered that aren't on the board yet. That's the problem. Yeah, you see what I mean? If I take 2 towns, one of them comes from here, one of them comes from there. The one that comes from there generates one of these, but then I don't have blank spaces to hold the conquered locations. And I may be misunderstanding something. I don't know. All right. But the idea of capturing London does not sound terribly appealing to me. I can't keep London. The question is, under the peace conditions, is there anything that requires, that I want, that requires getting the capital? Humiliation. Humiliation requires occupying the loser's capital. That's an interesting situation, because if I'm winning the combat, and I should be, well, especially if the French and English armies clash, because the Spanish army is not that big. If I take London, I can put it in humiliation. I don't want to keep board state, because that'll give me like a couple of territories in England, and England will have my stuff there. I do not want that. White peace I can't do without a total value. Forced conversion, I don't think I can do that. Well, first of all, I'd have to control the capital. Vassalization, I can't do against a player. Wish you could. Secure desired succession, not an issue. Full annexation is total victory. I'd have to have them off the map, basically. Let's look at what total victory actually is. A PR occupies all of a single enemy's de jure provinces, and this enemy has no deployed units remaining. Yeah. I will allow that, even though it's disallowed normally. The idea of being able to fully conquer an enemy nation makes absolute sense to me. They still have their core provinces and can revolt and whatnot. And somebody could come in as them again. But, so humiliation is the interesting one. All occupied provinces must be returned to their lawful owners. The victor scores points, etc. This is the one I want, and if I do a siege, I won't be able to take London. So I'm going to spend another cube to march into East Anglia. Do I want to do that yet? I'm not sure. The real question is, what are my other options here? Because I have diplomacy. Study technology, I don't want to do that. See, I have these cubes that could get me involved in the Italian Wars situation. Savoy. Savoy is interesting. Is that one of them? That's the Burgundy region, I believe that is. What's the deal with, can I get a royal marriage with Savoy? That might be a good move. Or an alliance. I can't get a marriage. Forge alliance would cost me half their tax income. Unfortunately, Savoy is kind of expensive. That would cost me 2 cubes to get a royal marriage in Savoy. But I could do that and delay my activity and not use up my military cubes, because I don't particularly want to capture London unless I'm going to win the war. So let's do it. Push that on. The English are in a bad way here. I have a nice big army and a nice fleet. They're not in the same place. What happens if I abandon this space and allow the French to go in there? I'm looking at the movement rules. I think France is not allowed to enter there. Well, wait, there's an English territory there. So I could take this. Military access. You can always move units into areas with at least one province whose lawful owner or controller. This is not either. This is the occupier. Is either friendly or your enemy. To move your troops into areas where there are only neutral provinces, you must be at war and either remove a cube from the area in question or pay some money. Military access is not available in neutral areas to which you have a claim. If opponents own every province in a neutral area, you may not move troops into that area without verbal permission from one of those opponents. Opponents you're not at war with. So let's take a look of lawful owner or controller. We know who the lawful owner is. Who is the controller? Provinces are controlled by their lawful owners unless they are occupied by rebels or enemy, in which case they're controlled by the occupant. Okay. So I think I could move into the English force. Can I attack those things? What happens in the result of a siege in that case? I think the best I can hope for is I'll be giving them back to Spain. Rebel occupied province, NPR province, hostile PR's province, enemy occupied province whose lawful owner is neutral or friendly, simply return the occupiers. Yeah. So I would give that back to Spain. That's not terribly helpful to me. Now, why am I talking about what France can do? I want to understand what England's options are at this point. England doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of cubes available. They got 3. But Spain is our big problem right now. Which means I could sail down and beat up on the French Navy. Not terribly useful. There's some diplomacy cubes. Don't feel terribly valuable there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a cube to move into here. Now I have 2, 4, 7. Spain has 3, 6. I have a worse leader. I don't know about this, man. The big problem is I don't know how I'm going to how I'm going to get the fight that I want out of this. Like, I don't have as good an army as the Spaniards do. And that's not good. In fact, that's very, very bad. If I lose to Spain, it would even be possible, although I think it's highly unlikely, that everything could get conquered and that England itself could fall. Now, it's not possible because there aren't enough cubes, and the players will come to a peace at the end of the turn if they can force one. So if the English army is destroyed, I'm going to be forced into an ugly peace. Probably the humiliation won by the Spaniards. The French will probably take something like, take the provinces that, take the current board state because it'll be in their favor. Oh, what else is possible? I mean, I could build a couple more ground units. That's not going to help me much. I don't have really an opportunity to make more generals. I'm going to take a chance on trade. Because if I get some more cash, I can do something. I don't think the French are going to move on me. That doesn't make sense. If I take the chance on trade, I have to shift a ship over. That puts me in a risky position. Yeah, I gotta move in. I think it's going to come to one fight, so let's make it come to one fight. All right, we're at a disadvantage here. Or do I just cover my capital? Yeah, let's just cover the capital, because then we can retreat more safely. The Spanish have already indicated that they're not going to launch an attack, I guess. I don't know. Can I carry all this shit? I have 3 ships, so I can carry 9 men, yeah. All right. Not sure about it. A little worried about this warfare that's going on up here. All of Flanders and Wallonia, I mean, they're Walloons, is owned by non-HRE members. Did I lose an HRE area last turn? Good question. If all the provinces are owned by external realms, with their capital outside, the area will automatically leave the HRE. Place a non-HRE in the area. If the area leaves the HRE, the emperor loses an imperial prestige. I will enforce that this next turn. I missed it on last turn. Part of why I may have missed it is because the Spanish gained almost everything, then the English took one, then they went to war. So that got kind of complicated, and, you know, sometimes there's a lot to keep track of in this game, and sometimes you're going to miss shit and then notice it later, and I think it should take place at the time when you notice it. At the next legitimate time for it to happen after you notice it. Because it's possible that Austria could intervene still. Austria will do its planned subjugation, and unfortunately I'm not really working towards these things, right? I forgot about these. Franche-Comté, Brescia, Namur, Luxembourg, or Holstein. Instead, I've just grabbed Lorraine. Okay, so I discard cubes equal to their base tax value, plus anyone else who's there. That's no one. I can't use the gray cube for this. To vassalize an ally, or annex your vassal or 1 tax ally. Unfortunately, this was a 2 tax. So this shows up instead. 2 of these tokens instead of 1. The alliance is gone. I just lost the alliance. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. Wrong, 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 wrong. I wanted to vassalize this one. And let's put the cubes here, but I can actually just take it. I don't have to vassalize it. Because it is a 1 tax, annex your vassal or 1 tax ally. Okay. So that is now part of Austria. Real rain coming now. And, you know, it's kind of interesting seeing, other than Turkey, nobody's really involved in the Italian wars militarily. Turkey seems to have, isn't really yet. They're trying to get into Naples, but Austria is kind of playing hard for them to get points, but they're doing it diplomatically, and I'm kind of pleased. These aren't the Italian wars; these are the Italian negotiations, and it's all because of England's strong position still in France, and then their seizure of Belgium, essentially, Wallonia, and Flanders, which has changed, you know, the dynamic here. Now, France has to make a decision here as to what the hell they feel about all this. Like, they don't particularly want Spain there, but they don't want England there either. Oh, well. It feels kind of crappy. Those little markers for the Italian wars don't go on there until, and I've got very little light here, but until the event, which is I think the Peasants' War, fires off. That may not fire off until the end of the turn, but the scoring for it happens immediately afterwards. So basically the little markers will get placed out to tell you what's going on and where is scoreable as kind of a mnemonic device for that. Whereas it would be really helpful to have that out there now, and I guess I could put it out there now, but it gets more confusing if there's one here and a secondary one. But yeah, I think I may put those out simply to help remind me, because I'm having to keep looking at this card constantly. And the truth of the matter is, it's probably really unlikely for there to be a card in here and a card here. It's like, that happens for part of one round, you know? I've thrown them down to show me, and just as a nice reminder of what's going on there. And you know what? There are enough counters you could probably actually support two of these power struggles, if need be. But these should have probably been out there the whole time, because there is something in play right now. They're not being scored on previous turns, but there was the capability to do stuff like fabricate claims in there more cheaply. Of course, I don't remember what all the stuff is. I know that one, but I don't know what else there might be. But of course, that allows you to get into a fight more quickly. Okay, so Poland had already passed. For the Turks, we grab ourselves, oh, there it goes, cube we gotta play. We grab ourselves this. We don't need an occupied marker with that there. And that moves us over to France. Unfortunately for France, they're running down in terms of cubes. I gotta decide whether, is there anything administrative I can do? I got these stupid spy networks, but I can discard them now. I think I'm going to do a reorganization. I don't think I need this diplomacy cube for anything. And I just feel like it gives me more leeway after I do the reorg. I don't have enough cubes to, the game of cubes, to take all of Normandy at once. Do I want to get rid of one of these, both of these cards to get something else? Well, the Mercenaries is actually an incredibly valuable thing. I could throw this in just before a battle and buy 3 extra armies if I'm attacked. The naval maneuver, if my ships get attacked, I have an advantage on that. The only thing I might have wanted to keep a diplomacy cube over there for was if I wanted to do a trade. I have plenty of money, so I think I'm good. I'm allowed to pull a card from the deck if I wanted to. With the reorg. I actually have resources in the administrative side and potentially in the military side that this might be worth it. Discard up to 3 action cards, sure. You may pay 1 and 2D. Okay, so I could look at the top 5 admin card discards and see if there's something I really, really want. So there's this increased stability. That could be useful because the cost of the actual action is a base of 5. This is a 3. Of course, I'd be paying 1 now. Commercial growth, always useful. You know, oh, this only happens, I think, if I discard cards. I don't understand the wording of this thing at all. Like, it feels like I'm like the way it's worded, I should be discarding cards, and then, you know, there's this discard, Add them to the discard pile after completing this action. Then draw one card fewer than you discarded. You may pay to pick one of the new cards from the top 5 discards of the deck. If what it said was draw and discard these cards or something like that, but that's not what it says. And I just don't know. Like, of the new cards, if it didn't have of the, there's just a lot of wording here that's leading me to believe that I'm not doing this right. Anyway, let me peek through these when I have both hands. So, the most interesting of these are probably the advisors. The only card that I could play this turn, and otherwise it means holding a card and paying for it next turn or whatever, is the Harbor Refugees, which I'm not involved in colonial activity yet, and then appointed advisor. Would that work? This would be cheaper, right? I don't know. This would cost me double the cash to play. Why don't I grab the development card? That will cost me 1 cube and $2. What you see going on is my reluctance, like, you know, I took this action, I have to move my cubes, but I feel like I should use some of the other opportunities. It's the same thing that got me to put these fucking cubes on cards that caused me so much angst. Oh boy, Spawn. Yeah, I have the Siege Assault card. Interesting. All right, well, if I'm not going to attack England, what am I up to, man? In we go. Again, no supply requirements or anything. And this is going to be a hell of a battle. Realistically, in the arrangement of the board, this is maybe the worst setup. Well, no, there could be worse ones. There's no question. It could be Austria and France. But Spain and England, yeah, they're close to each other here, but I don't have a lot of place for them. But let's take a look. Spain doesn't have any cards they want to play. England doesn't have any cards they want to play. The two armies, Spain is going to take away a die from the English. Otherwise, they both have Janissaries. The Spaniards have 3 extra dice. The English have 1 extra die. I don't have a general I can play. So the English are just going to be rolling 3 dice. The Spaniards are going to be rolling 6. We get, everything's infantry in this. We get a total of 3 hits on the English. And like I said, the English gain and lose a die, so they cause 2 hits to the Spanish army, which is smaller. And now remember not to throw these pieces into the discard. They go into the exhausted pools. That's a big deal. So the English don't have much reserve. The Spaniards have a lot of reserves, but without cubes, it doesn't make a difference. Army sizes are the same. Leadership is the big difference. Both sides are sticking around. All right. That's a whole hell of a lot of hits. The English army is wiped out. The king takes a wound. I gotta go pick up a wound from over here. And yeah, I probably shouldn't do this walking all the way across the board for that. And then to the English side, they do 1 more hit to the Spanish. The English army is wiped out. That's a success for Spain. I get a cube back. This, I guess, can go back there. This comes off the board. Now, Spain has interesting choices here. Ugh. I could spend, so 2 cubes, and I haven't done a reorg, 2 cubes would get me London and nothing else. But a siege assault, I can play now, as it's a reaction card, pick an army in a hostile area, immediately siege provinces with a tax value up to its siege strength at no extra military cost. Roll artillery dice equal to the tax value for each casualty. I'd get a problem. So I'd be rolling 4 artillery dice on 3 of my armies. I could only hit 3 things anyway. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to use, well, it's 2 cubes to besiege London. This is what I want. I want to humiliate the English. And I've succeeded in that. That'll get me my territories back. It'll end the war. It's up. France will be able to do what they do, whatever that is, as well, in terms of a victory, which if they can capture more areas, that's fine. I don't really want to chance this because I've got a chance of losing the war entirely, and there's nothing more for me to gain. I mean, there's some money and stuff for returning province, for returning provinces, for me to give the English. Now, if I do a reorg, I could get 4 cubes there, and I could siege all of it. If we look at the peace conditions for a humiliation, I think I get some additional advantages. Humiliation is what I want. Okay. The victor gains P equal to twice the tax value of provinces returned to the loser. So I would get 2 extra prestige for each city I take. That sounds pretty good. The loser will lose this. You know, that extra prestige sounds like an idea, so I probably do want to play my cube for there. Let's see what the English potential reaction is. It doesn't look like much. Actually, England doesn't have any manpower. Do I have my mercenaries still? No, I seem to have thrown them out. I can replenish manpower, and that costs me 1 military per 3 armies. So I could conceivably replenish my manpower, do a reorg, attack the Spaniards, and still siege. Is it worth throwing everything into that? Alternatively, I could inject myself into the Italian wars in a different way. By the way, I'm looking at the Italian wars. There's a penalty on people that I keep forgetting. If France, Castile, or Austria has beeps, in fewer than 2 of the areas, they lose 3 prestige. I think that's the case for everyone. Austria is close, though. Oh no, Austria saves their ass. But both France and Spain, this war with England has forced them into an ugly position. And this can't be here. I don't know where it is. I'm assuming here. Unfortunately, keeping track of things on a victory point track like this and nowhere else means that it's probably me rolling the dice, but I'm out of space, man. Probably means that this kind of error is going to be fairly regular. Okay. What are my other options? I don't know. Yeah, let's 3, 6. Let's build up our army and see if we can beat the Spaniards here. But we will be dragging both nations downward, unless you know. Well, if we defeat this Spanish army and keep most of our forces, we'll actually have the manpower advantage on them that we can force them to a peace, I think. We'll see. Has cubes available, so it's time for the Italian Wars to be official. Italy is our domain. I gained 3 military cubes. Ho ho! What will this mean? Interesting question. A claim in each of the areas with French towns or vassals. Let's look. Lombardy. France has an alliance, nothing else. Central Italy, France has nothing. Venetia, France has nothing. Naples. Hey, wait a minute. The Turks are coming. Nope. France gains a claim in Lombardy and an alliance with Florence after this. France gains a claim in Lombardy and an alliance in Florence. We have a claim in Lombardy. We can't have another one. This is why knowing the events could be very valuable, but an alliance with Florence gave us some power on the board. All right. We also replace Frederick with Maximilian. The Turks continue their war. Another military cube. This is how war works, man. We march into here. There's a Neapolitan here that has 1, 2. Now, if we put our navy there first, we would have to be fighting 2 navies. So that's why we're not doing that. If we did put our navy there, and it's mainly galleys, which is kind of cool, and 1, we would reduce the enemy strength because they wouldn't have troops coming from Naples. So it's kind of a hard call which way makes the most sense, and I'm not sure. Okay. Naples is not going to have a leader here. The Turks do have their leader, which is 2 extra white dice. Any cards that force march. I could gain 4 more dice in the land battle. Nah, we're doing okay. And we have all technologies, so we drop them to 2 dice and hit on everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have at least 6 infantry here, so we wipe them out. And they are down to 2 dice because of our line units and do nothing. We get our cube back. And, well, we get Ragusa. And we get a cube there. Next turn is time for the invasion of Naples, which will be a naval action. Spend 4 cubes seizing all of Normandy. Is it 4 cubes? Wait a minute. I have artillery with me. Let me get a cube back. It's only 3 cubes. And grab their war aims, basically. Hey, everybody's doing great except the English, and they thought they were doing great. As a reorg, getting their cubes there so they can grab as much of England as they wish. Also does a reorg to recycle their troops. It also does a reorg to shift one of their military to an administrative. These new military, not very useful to us. We don't really want to go to war, do we? This is what I was considering. There aren't a hell of a lot of places we could go to war. We could go to war against the Hungarians. This doesn't feel like the turn to do that. I want to, this is going to enable me to fix my stability. I can do that one of two ways. I can do it either here, spending the 3 cubes in one of these to increase stability by 1. Or I can play my increased stability card, which allows me to also get rid of an unrest value, which I don't know which is better. Like, because I could always put this guy under here, although my cube totals aren't very good, especially after I threw one in there. But, you know, I don't know what else to do. Persistently rocking around the board, aren't we? This is not usual for me. My addiction is at a point where I kind of don't want to expend any energy right now on it. I'm thinking about going to bed very soon, but I got to finish my tea. This is the last time around. My tea's almost done. The Turks spend a cube to move their navy into the Adriatic Sea. That triggers a fight. Let's get some dice. I don't have an admiral kicking around, do I? No. All right. So I've got 4 ships. I'm facing 1. I'm not going to put it on the board yet, because I get a hit, which is all I need. There's no naval advantages. None of those military things affect Navy as far as I can tell. So I take 2 hits, but only 1 is real. There goes one of my ships. I get my cube back for winning a battle. However, at the end of a naval move, I'm allowed to transit in here, and now we're facing a 4-point army. This I'm going to pull up. Let me check my card, make sure there's nothing I want to do with that. And then I got a military reform. I could gain 4 more dice. So my battle dice, well, let's wait and see. My battle dice are going to be a +2. He's going to be at -1. He gets a potential general. He does. So the Neapolitans have some cannons, cannon dice. They don't have any artillery, but these can generate infantry rolls. Okay, so my dice would be 5 with bonuses. If I play this innovative tactics, I could bring that up to 9 dice. 5 dice is unlikely to defeat my enemy all at once. But it's possible. I don't see spending the card. I'm going to probably regret this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Boom. I have at least 5 infantry here. On his side, he gets 2 white dice and 2 blue dice, which gets a total of 1 hit. And it gets rid of this. And the troops. We were successful in a battle, but we don't get a cube because we already won 1 battle this round. I don't have any cards that allow me to follow up immediately. Ugh, Spain was an idiot. I thought my 4 cubes would get me 4 hits, but they don't. Well, they do if I take my time on it. So yeah, I'm going to launch 3 cubes of siege. Now, let's mark these. One of these cubes, one of them, here's where our problem is. One of the cubes covers this town, and the other 2 are going to go over here to remind me what the hell's going on. And Those will cover London. Sorry, the other one. Only one of these cubes is actually there. Okay. All right. Now England has to also drop some cubes on the board to cover this, and combat dice are over there, but I need to move everything else too. So England has lost London, and why don't we take a port instead, and that other town. Okay. England is going to spend to build their army, and this is going to require them to go deeper into debt. Do I want non-infantry? I don't know. Does it really make sense? Not really. Sink too far into debt. So I only built 5 units for $10. I can build that here. We find our general, put him here. We put the king back in charge. And I go over and get the dice. Military drill takes a die off the English. So they're at base 2, they're at 3 dice. This isn't good for them. They have more troops though, and less dice. I cause 2 hits to the Spanish. The Spanish get the full 3 dice plus their general king 3 more dice. So 6 dice. The most I can do though is 3 hits. Only infantry count, and all I get is 3 hits. So 3 and 2. Now here's the interesting thing. The English don't have any military cubes left. If I retreat with the Spaniards, I don't think I can. Okay. I don't have anywhere I can go. Alrighty. But if I could have retreated with the Spaniards, the English don't have enough cubes to take London back. But they might have something like the siege attack or something along those lines, or something might generate a cube for them. So who knows? So what do we have? 2 dice plus 1, 3 dice with 2 armies. We miss. The Spaniards still get 6 dice. Felt like something went flying. Maybe it was just the tink against there. 6 dice. That's 2 hits on the English, but only 1 can count. Next round. The English are counting on just trying to come out even, come out ahead here. It's a low chance, but 3 dice. We hit the Spaniards, and the Spanish get 6 dice. And yeah, the chance we wouldn't have been able to siege anyway. So the Spanish wipe out the English army, and the English wipe out the Spanish army. And that's pretty exciting, I guess. But Spain still holds London, and that's really the key factor here. That's going to put us, all right, we still got to do Austria. What went wrong? Some of these towns, some of the stuff over here got bumped by the dice rolling. And now I'm confused. Oh, there it is. Okay. I was going to say because there's a Spanish town there, and I don't think they had any left. Okay. So on to Austria. For Austria, I am going to spend 3 admin cubes, one of these cubes, and I'm going to improve my stability here. And that leaves me this if I want to buy him. Although I think my cube supply is too low to justify that. Screw it. We'll play the card. We'll keep those in play where they are, and we will improve one of our unhappy groups of people. That puts us back to Poland, who's passing, but that's okay. And they're stuck in a pass. France passed as well. And we're kind of winding down towards the end of the turn here. But, although I'd love to keep going, my tea is low enough. My pipe is low. It's time for me to bed down for a while. To complete their conquest of Naples with 3 cubes to siege. Naples is a large town, but they have an artillery, so... Reduces one of their areas in unrest. We're kind of running down here towards the end. For the English, they may do the same exact thing. They have a military cube. Not a lot I can do with that. Because I've already done a reorg. I don't have any troops I can spring up that I know of. I don't think that there's anything I can do without an extra military cube there. Let's see what we got here. We do have 3 dip cubes, which I don't know quite what to do with. Henry VII is good at diplomacy, hence the marriages he was able to get his son into. We'll just fire that bad boy off to fix York. Austria passes, another getting $2. I just can't figure out anything I can do with this military capability that I have available. So, seems like this is, might as well grab the extra $1. Oh, no, screw that, man. Let's not pass. I have unrest. Let's put that back. Definitely winding down, though. Okay, I have 1 unrest that I can cure, and that is a worthwhile goal. Turkey. Poland's on pass. Turkey has some interesting possibilities here. So I've got a fair number of cubes left right now. And let's see. I would I'll probably hold most of them. One thing I could do with military is I could make an attack on something like Cyprus. Move my navy into place and launch that attack. That's probably not a bad idea. And then take Crete next turn along with Naxos. I don't want to go for Crete and Naxos right now because I don't really have a lot of cubes available to play with. Another opportunity would be to set sail and explore the Americas, or possibly down in Africa. That would cost me a cube to move 1, 2, And then another cube would get me onto the sea level in either the Americas or in Africa. I think I want to focus more on what makes sense. So let us be leafing. Let's declare war on Cyprus. That gets us a free action. We'll move our entire fleet into the Eastern Med. We're facing a ship in Cyprus. Which we hit. But it takes out one of our galleys. We get our cube back. That may make up for everything. We will land this army. We can't bring that one. It's too... We would have had to leave forces in play here. Cyprus now has a one-army defense. Now, I have a couple of generals. Is it worth... Is it worth throwing a general in here? Just to make sure we get a hit. I think we're pretty assured. We have the Janissary bonus, not that that matters, but we have an artillery, we have the artillery with us, which means those hit. That, yeah, I wanna give myself a general. Which one of these? I'm gonna use the forced march one. Put a cube there, just to give myself a better chance of doing this. So I get 3 dice, 5 dice. So I don't have a very big force. And I wouldn't have gotten unlucky no matter what. My enemy, since I have the discipline or drill or whatever, only gets 2 dice, but it's enough to kill my infantry off, which goes here. And we won another battle, but again, it doesn't help us to win a second battle in the same round. It is out of cubes. I don't think there's a damn thing I can do with them except to pass, triggering the end of turn. No, not quite. Sorry, thought I had another one filled. Okay, so that's $2 for the Spaniards. England's in a weird place. I got 3 diplomatic cubes. I don't know what the hell I can do with them. I can hold them. Of course, Henry gains diplomatic cubes at a high rate, but I have a good pile of cubes available. So I'm looking at, well, if I can't do anything military, what can I do, you know, what I have to play an event. So let's look at the events. One of them is the Peasants' War. I really don't want this to go into effect. I gain a military cube. That's not enough to do anything with. All players who have negative stability, that's me, or 3 or more exhausted infantry, that is also me, although a lot of us have that, would decrease their stability and gain some unrest and then some additional stuff. Oh boy, this is just ugly as hell. So I look to the disputed succession, and my first thought is, well, I get $4, that's kind of nice. Support for local nobles would lose me 2 prestige. I'd rather not do that, although I would gain some cubes. I have enough cubes I can afford to throw some down somewhere. I'm not sure where I'd want to put them. Maybe Denmark. You know, Denmark would be great to add. I don't think I'm allowed to place them in here because I'm at war with Spain and they're there. I know there's something about all cubes in areas at war get removed when you declare war. So I'm suspecting that I couldn't put them there, which is a place I'd want to put them. other continental interest would be Lower Saxony. Because over here, I could drop some in there, but I'd be losing prestige in exchange for that. But if I pick this instead, and I go for the War of Succession, it says take a free declaration of war. I think I have to do it. This is weird. Yeah, I think I would have to do it. All right. So I guess I'll go with the support for local nobles, which I really don't want to do. I get some cash that'll help me out with some of those loans, maybe, sort of, kind of. I lose 2 prestige because I'm going to do the weak version. And I'll put 4 cubes here into Lower Saxony. And now we have a bunch of events triggered. Ugh, these are going to hurt. First one looks like it's going to be rebellions. No, native uprising. Each player loses 1 cube off the colonist pool and gains... Okay, so nobody gets anything here. The Spanish discovery and claim over there doesn't cause any of this to happen. So that's safe. And then, I gotta see these colors. Looks like blue and orange are triggered for NPRs. Got blue here, got orange here. Pink is out of play. Seemed to feel like there was a doubling up, or more than one doubling up. There's 2 pinks. That may be what I'm thinking of. Okay. So blah 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 blah. We gotta find the NPR rolls. Well, I'm having trouble flipping around finding them. I know they're here. Here we go. Oh, here we do not go. Here we go. DNPRs. Okay, so blue is the first one. That's the Persians. When their province is annexed, we're not getting... Maybe it is over here. And it's not NPR. It's DNPRs. Okay. Maybe it's under the event. DNPR expansion, yeah. For each symbol that matches the color of a DNPR, pick a DNPR of that color. Place a matching thing on a province adjacent. This may not be a capital, nor can it be occupied, owned by the DNPR's ally, or a core province of a PR. If a province of an NPR is selected, yeah, okay. So what do we want to do here? We could actually inject ourselves against the Turks, which would probably be our best move. If a province selected has one of these, you put it underneath, making it a core province, and add unrest. Well, we already have unrest there, but we could put it over here on this vassal. Boy, does that look unreasonable. And this DNPR is out because, not because of anything, but they're as big as they get. I'm just not that impressed with making this a core province. But anyway. Okay. And then the orange one, I could do the same with. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to do it with the orange one. I'm going to put this in over here. I think that'll cause the most pain. And then the orange is this guy, and we're going to put this over here. And that essentially, I don't know what that does. I really don't know what that does. It's not much, and this goes into unrest. If it ends up rebelling, it becomes part of the dynamic NPR, but it's not like the DNPRs can really attack an enemy. And then I've got to look for some people to give heartaches to. The effect of that was the English, I think, lost a military advisor who was quite good. And now the English push into here. We should have done that already. But now we trigger the secondary effects off this one. And this causes the... No, that's not activate power struggle. What the hell? That's attrition. All PRs that are at war except you must remove one land unit as a casualty for every deployed land units they have. Why did I think that was the activate power struggle? Wow. Okay. So, mistaken. All right, let's look at some of the armies. So, French have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't find it now. Like, it's not on the card. It's here. 10, that means I'm going to have to lose 3 of my deployed land units. I am going to take them off of here, I guess. Spain only has to lose 1. The English are immune. The Turks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're going to have to lose 3. Make that infantry. Poland does not have an army. Austria loses 2. Fuck me. Austria may not lose any. Is it only at war? Yeah, only at war. Okay, Austria is not losing any. And that's all she wrote for that event, for that piece of the event. Where is the event card? I've lost the event card. I think it's way up here. I don't know why I moved this around. Okay. We got another pirate, no? Place a pirate ship into a node of your choice. Okay. Well, I'm really not happy with what's happening with the Turks, so we'll give them some piracy. Pirates just killed themselves off in the old EU, if I recall correctly. You could patrol and knock them out. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, and finally we have another set of potential deaths. These are on the plus side. Bayezid and Maximilian over with the Austrians, both new rulers, are now aged. Again, I hope that the decks are stacked kind of decently. I think the big thing is you don't want 2 in the same deck. Two of the same symbol in the same deck. So that clears out the English and puts me over to the Austrians. Next pass means the remaining players get 1 turn each. Type's low, so I'm going to run downstairs. But I got to say, if you recall when I was playing something with a much bigger footprint, when I was doing the La Bataille de Leipzig, that I had, I don't know how many tables, 9, 10 tables, whatever. I mean, this thing was down there, and most of my smaller tables and the fold up and everything. So whatever that footprint was, but that was a big thing I had to walk around. Pretty much filled up most of my living room area down there, which I'm lucky to have such big rooms. I have to say that much. This was an appealing facet for me. There's another house in the neighborhood that just did not have any rooms of any size. I don't know. I probably could have arranged, but it would have been a much tighter fit. And this place just has such nice big open spaces. Yes, my bedroom and the bedroom next to it are really tiny, but yeah. Well, now that I'm alone here, I have tons of space. But what was I going to say? Yeah, because of the interactive nature of this, with that game, I could move my pipe and my lighter around. And, I'd be spending 10, 15 minutes on one side of the board at a time, and then put a tweezers down and take my breaks or whatever, because I couldn't play out a complete player turn, even just the movement segment or whatever, especially while I was working. I would let something run over during some slow periods and whatever, and do shit. But here, I'm finding myself constantly running back and forth to do things. And, I leave my pipe behind and it's a big deal. Anyway, I'll be back in a moment or two. Austrians did pass. The Turks, last action that they get this turn, well, I spend a cube with my 1 artillery and we have the same problem here, which is we'll be getting an occupied marker here at Cyprus. And oh boy, is this so much easier than taking an island in EU. The siege, the fact that sieges are just automatic, man, they're the hard part, okay? They're the hard part in the old EU. It's like, you land, I think Rhodes is a level 2 fortress at the beginning of the game. I think that's the biggest that anything has. But even with just that and artillery capability and everything, it's tough to guarantee you're going to get it. And you can't just when you're forced off an island, your force is completely wiped out. So you're putting a big risk when you send your force in there. And when you land on the island, the fight for landing on the island is particularly hard. There's no particular terrain issue here with doing a landing. That's pretty easy, perhaps overly so. So that was the Turks. The last one left are the Brits. We got diplomatic. We can forge an alliance or fabricate a claim. Like I didn't realize that fabricating a claim. Oh, I'm not at peace. I can't fabricate any claims. So I could forge an alliance by spending a cube on somebody down here. Hanover is probably the best. Oh no, that's Braunschweiger. And it owns Hanover. That's probably our best bet. That's it's half the tax income, so 1 cube gets me that. And that ends us, in terms of the rounds, I have no idea where this is. There we go. And puts us to the Peace and Rebels phase. And that's probably it for tonight. I'm a little punchy. Yeah, I took a nap, but it was quite a while ago. But the thing is, or I thought I was going to sleep, and I didn't stay asleep for more than a couple hours. So whatever that works out as. But that's all good because it means that I sleep most of the day tomorrow, and today is Friday, and I go dancing. So I may not even be finishing this turn up tomorrow. It's hard to tell, or today, whatever. But yeah, we've got a war completed. Spain, because they have 1 unit. Oh, come on. No, wait. I have no military cubes. If I had taken a military cube, I could have prevented having to surrender to Spain. Shit. If I had taken the other event. The other event would have caused me a lot of pain, though. And I'm in a world of hurt with this debt. Spain is in a world of hurt with their debt. We both want this war to end. Had I done that, I might have been able, it probably would have ended up being some kind of negotiated fine, whatever. Take your stuff. Although, honestly, I don't see that. I see it as being, okay, we'd both give up our stuff. But as it stands, I think Spain is going to get that humiliation, which gives them what they want, their territory back. They would have gotten that anyway, but it gives them also other benefits. There would have been no way of forestalling the French victory. The French have way too many troops. They're going to regain all of France back, and that's a couple of their goals that really should have been handled long ago. As to the Italian wars, man, they're still not showing. I'm a little confused by this, although, this is probably something to do with the two decks, right? But I really feel like nothing was triggered, and something should have been. Like the fact that the Italian Wars card came out, I feel like that should have triggered this, but it didn't. To give myself an understanding, I looked through the entire first era, both the events that I've taken to make sure I didn't screw up, and the events that were not chosen. There is no way to trigger a power struggle using any of the cards of the first deck. Then I looked through the second deck, and there's a whole bunch of them. So the Italian Wars started, if I recall correctly, in the early 1500s. So we're talking like 1512, somewhere around there. We could take, unfortunately, Inferno, is it? Can't even see it. There's no light. I've got it down there on that table, but it's completely dark. But if I take a look at should be some Italian Wars stuff here. All ancients. I'm lost. Oh, okay. More ancients, medieval. Yeah, my world doesn't make sense. Guelphs and Gibellines, but that's I think a later situation. No, an earlier situation. Yeah. Arquebus, 1495 to 1544. So 1495, I feel like that should be part of the triggering here. But here's the thing. That's the Italian Wars 1 card that came up, essentially, right? And that could have caused wars. It didn't. And there are wars that could have happened, based on, hey, we know this is coming up. All this does is it says it's scoring time for these things. And then it tells you what the next scoring time card is going to be. So it's perfectly reasonable. The actual wars could happen prior to the scoring time card. So I'm okay. It's not a big deal. However, it is important if you're playing only the first era, which we're not, I know. We've put out a ridiculous amount of video on this, but it's because it plays like a Euro, man, and I haven't figured out a way to step back and give just a narrative of what's happened. I certainly could. Some people have definitely, though, said that they like these, looking into the decisions and everything. I would like to give a little bit less long-windedness than I'm giving, but I don't know how to go about that. At least not yet. All right. Onward and upward. We'll finish the roundup, and then after this, not only do we have the normal end of rounds situation to do, but we also then have the end of the age to calculate, which is something I've not done. Well, didn't get a full sleep, got a couple more hours. Gonna be going back to sleep soon. But I figure I'll go through Peace and Rebel. That'll let me resolve these wars, which will be expensive. If an NPR which is not an active ally is at war with any PRs, I don't think we have a situation of that where they have any territory left. Okay. Rebels siege or move. Are there any rebel units on the board? Yeah, there's one over there. That has a rebel and a thing. The rebel in each area may siege any town. Okay. The Poles lose another town. Hexipoo on you. Alright, and that creates another one of these. Peace resolution. Alright, these are done in order. First, are there any automatic white pieces? No. Total victories. Turkey has total victory on Naples. So I'll get to absorb all of Naples. Now, I need to look at the full order for this because I forget things. For example, I can spend my claims to get rid of unrest. It may not be wise here because I still have Serbia I can take out. But like a lot in this game, you really do have to, it's really hard to remember enough. Now that's true with the other EU as well. I'm too far in. There we go. Okay. I don't know where that little piece is. There's some place where you're allowed to exchange your claims. It's unfortunately not listed here. Oh, fuck. And I don't know where the fuck it is. I'm gonna have to find that rule. It may be later in the sequence, but I don't think so. The full annexation. Okay, the losers de jure provinces are fully incorporated. Remove all alliance. Marriage, nobody had one. And occupied tokens from the annexed province. The loser was an active ally of a player. That player loses 2. That wasn't the case. The victor can then discard a claim from where the annexed province is. Also remove 2 unrest from the area. Once again, I'm in a weird case where I have too many cubes on the table, so I've got to do a count of the Turkish force. What was going on? I had the right amount of towns represented, with 1 cube being over here, but the total number of cubes was wrong. There were a couple of towns that I had cubes paid against that shouldn't be, and I'm a little confused by all that. So that's their peace situation. I've cleared this. This remains because it's a power struggle waiting to happen, really. I just want those markers there to remind me of the power struggle. Okay. Next, France is the first in line of these powers. This is not going to be a total victory, but is it a partial victory? Now, for partial victory, and it is, for partial victory, you have to have an outnumbering of 2 to 1, and I clearly have that. The English have no troops. Anyone with any troops left on the board wins. So I will take that partial victory, and I will take, keep current board state. Occupied capitals must be returned. Apart from the capitals, the occupiers keep all the provinces they occupy. However, the victor, in place of keeping provinces, may instead exchange them. No, we want France. Oh, did we get anything from this? I don't believe so. And either exchange for other provinces or for money, or liberate some of them. The victor can mix and match. And then I'm allowed to discard claims to solve the unrest issue. Now, that's not going to help here, but... And here the cube number might be different because... no. It should be 1 cube to represent this small town sitting on top of the large town. That's gotten me both of these. End English occupation. They're no longer there. I gain a claim. Insane. I don't know if I'm allowed to, because I own everything there. That's disturbing. And either remove 2 of these or gain cubes in Aquitaine, Brittany, and Normandy, and Languedoc. There's 1. 2. Okay, but that claim insane, I don't know if I'm allowed to gain. Now, here's the thing. The Turks, oh no, that's a home province. The Turks have a claim in Greece, which I don't know that they're allowed to have. They couldn't place one there, but they didn't remove it. And it's a voluntary removal in the peace phase and problematic across the board. So let me look up to see if there's any rules on claims. This is not alphabetical, which is disturbing. I don't know what order it is. But I'm tired now. I shouldn't have done this. Oh, okay. We look here. So we're obviously not finding anything. And you know, like with the one thing, there was a rule squirreled away in the base concepts, whatever, that impacted other stuff. I don't remember what the fuck it was. Oh, with removing cubes from anywhere, where it's not repeated anywhere else, but one of the pieces of it was repeated somewhere else, which led me... is that a problematic way to do things? I don't know. Claim 31522. We're going to have to... Okay, supposedly claim is here, but I see it there. But I don't think claim is actually covered in here. So we'll go to 15. This is going to be fabricate claims. You cannot place claims in areas where you have a claim already or own all the provinces. But that's this action. 22 is the next one, where claims are mentioned as casus belli. 25 is the next one. I really don't think I'm going to get the answer here. Claims are mentioned as a part of military access. Here, these little icons do jump out at you. They are very helpful for that. I've griped about them and pronounced them poorly, but I gotta say, they do make finding things in the rules easier, and that's probably more important than being able to pronounce the symbol. Although on the first read through, it was really bothersome, and until you really get used to what they mean, it is annoying. 26 and 43. 26, movement on distant continents. That's the only place that mentions it. And then the next place is 43. Claims in battleground areas, which is the cost for that. I can't find anything that takes it away from me. I don't think there's any reason for me to have a claim there. That's the problem. And I can't spend that claim to cure the unrest because I didn't just take these. So, England and France now have a truce. And I think that war is recovered. Likewise, I'm going to get rid of this. I don't think it does anything for me, because if those territories become not mine, I get a claim there. And yeah. All it did was hurt me to not have expended it. The final war or peace is Spain. Spain also has a total advantage. We could keep the current board state. We do not want the current board state. So we're going to take humiliation. All occupied provinces must be returned. The victor scores. So we got no prestige for keep current board state. But we got a lot of territory that we wanted. And we have a lot of cubes over here that I didn't remove. That's for the Normandy ones. I didn't remove them. The English have not enough cubes, and I don't know what that means. It means some sort of fuck up. Okay, humiliation. The victor scores prestige equal to twice the tax value of provinces returned to the loser. Well, that has a tax value of 3, so I get 6. I didn't humiliate them that badly. The loser loses the same amount of prestige. Poor England. While they were humiliated, now this wouldn't happen if the English had been able to get an army on the board or something. And that's it. Otherwise, all occupied provinces are returned to their lawful owners. Count of Spanish provinces got me to 19, with one of them being under rebellion. So I think this is the right cube setup. It was not there because I had removed cubes from the wrong places. Because once you go over that, once you go around that 20, everything gets really funky. And now we have truces between them. Spain now owns something, but nothing that they cared about. Now, they have an event, which I don't know if they can get yet. They have a mission to basically get this territory that they've got. But I don't know if they're allowed to take it yet until after like the Italian ambition and whatever is used up. Okay, I think that's all the wars and all the pieces. Which means we flip back to here. Peace resolution. Aftermath, return land units, flipping all royal marriages. There weren't any problems to their alliance phase. And discarding all allied units, nobody had any. Nobody called any allies in. Disputed successions, I don't believe there are any. Occupied towns. Players who now have towns occupied by enemies or rebels lose prestige equal to the tax value. I think we did that last time. I think Spain got hit by that. Right now they get hit by 1 for this rebellion here. This is a vassal. It doesn't count against you that way, I guess. Okay. Where am I? Nobody's got an interregnum. Players who have religious dissent. Yeah, and I got to mark more Catholic areas for the Turks. Okay. So I'm going to run through these, I guess, in player order. First, the Poles. They are going to get 1 in each area, and then I'm just a mess there. Okay, 1 in each area, but I have tolerance. Can I have tolerance and I guess I can't have the put scientific revolution there. I want to have tolerance and an inquisition at the same time. And I think you can actually do that. Let's take a quick look. Which sounds horribly wrong, but I can make an argument for it like I can for almost anything. Yeah, there's no comparison. So basically what it is tolerance with a lot of proselytization going on. You kind of have that under the ancient, and to some extent the Ottomans continued this, but not all that ancient. But the early Muslim state, like the Umayyads and whatnot, where there was, and I don't remember the term for it, there was a tax. Oh, little birdies on my tree. Glad to see them back. Hope they don't smack into my window. They're tiny little guys about the size of chickadees, but they're yellow. Where basically the only effect of being the wrong religion was you owed this tax. And that was an incredible, like, revenue increaser early on, and then became a strong force for proselytization as he went later. Because people don't like paying money. I mean, you know, if I had to check a little box that said, yes, I am Muslim and didn't have to pay my income tax, yeah, I'd do that. Okay. Oh, so let's see. So we have the tolerance. The tolerance says, I think I'm able to take 2 off the total. Yeah, I can take 2 off the total. Oh, but I got a lot. I don't know, maybe not that many anymore. I got 1. I take 2 off that 1. I'm fine. No problem. Turkey also has tolerance. They have more areas though. They have 1, but they don't have anything they have to lose there. Oh, another Orthodox. Hey, this is another war that I didn't resolve. That's what's going on that's weird. Ruh-roh. I don't know if I counted that. But I get rid of, the claim in the war. Yeah, I forgot. I prosecuted a second war. Just with, and still have a ton of cubes left. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I got to recount with the Turks. I think I had my sheet right. I counted this, I just didn't notice. Oh, okay. So where was I? All right, so that's 1. No problems here. These are vassals that are problematic. 1, 2. Yeah, but it doesn't count. There's no problem. 2, 3. So I got 3 I got to convert. God. It's a pain in the ass. That means one of them actually gets converted. Yeah. Yuckada, yuckada, yuckada. Let's do it in Cyprus. I don't want to lose my army in Cyprus, so I'm going to do it down here in Naples. Bari. Unrest. I've got unrest everywhere anyway. The French have 1 now. They do not have tolerance, which means Paris goes into unrest. The Spanish have no tolerance, no doubt. They have 1 here, and I think that's it. The English do not have this problem. The Austrians it's diverse, but I don't own it yet. I don't think the Austrians have a problem with religion. Okay. Gain and remove unrest. Players at war. No one is still at war. Players. Okay, now we check the peace, the stability values. Now it's time for the rebel dice. I don't know why I have these naval dice here. Or artillery dice. All right, rebel dice are each area with unrest. We roll them on a per area basis. Tolerance, which is just Turkey and Poland, allows me to re-roll in 2 different areas if I don't like my first result. All right, well, the Poles were able to fix their 1 problem due to their high stability. The Turks were not, however. So, let us start. First of all, we've got to find the right page. That's page 37. We're going to find all the things. And, you know, yes, I wouldn't have to roll this out. And with the old EU, with all the time I spend away, I wouldn't. But with me agonizing over every decision and everything, I feel like the whole game might as well be on the books, right? All right. So this has unrest. That's 2 rebellions. If you have military units otherwise, assign each rebellion result to one of your towns. In that area, rebels will siege it. Well, this is a horrible result. But I think I'm going to leave it alone because I've got a lot of other problems. And my vassal in revolt is not really my biggest concern. Now, there should be 2 cubes here, but it's hard, you know, because the vassals use a half piece each. So this represents what's going on there. But again, it doesn't do it accurately enough. But I don't know what to do. Let's do up here where I've got 2 dice as well. That's another rebellion. I'm going to spend one of my things to get rid of this one. And I get rid of 2 ducats instead. In the right place. Now, tax problems. All right, that's 1 spent. Let's do it in Greece. Okay, Greece says I have to fatigue an army. I have to exhaust an army unit. Everybody's exhausted over here. So it's going to be one of these Neapolitans that's sent there. Serbia. Serbia is a rebellion. I'm going to use my second reroll for that. It's a cube. I lose a cube of some sort or another, and I think it's my choice. I'll take that. Dalmatia. Dalmatia says, you know, it's not so bad. And finally, Naples, where the army is. They get tired and go home. Okay. We're going to have to swap batteries. Here are a cute little Twitter from birds. Those are those little guys. I know. Who the hell cares? Well, me, kinda. In my own weird way. On to the froggies. All right, I got nothing special, so we'll do our Burgundy one first. Our Franche-Comté. We lose a cube. Up into Normandy. Some troops get tired. And finally in the Seine, I've got 3 dice there because Champagne is one of them. Okay, that's a rebellion and 2 cubes. I don't have 2 cubes, so I pay $2. But there's also a rebellion which I have to cope with. You might want to do your troops first so that they can fight their battle. But on the other hand, if there are no troops to lose, you pay money. So I don't know. All right, so we have a fight coming up. And that's just one rebel army up against... I got 2 extra dice for this. So first, I kill the rebel. But it hits another one of my troops. Spain. Spain has a mess. Not much I can do about it. Let's go deal with the army first, down there in southern Morocco. That's a troop in a rebellion. Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. That will be a successful rebellion then. And that eats another cube. War is not good for stability. This is no longer an unrest. It's rebel controlled. That can spawn stuff. Not right here. So up there in Flanders and Wallonia, I have 2 unrests. I lose $4. Uh-oh. 3. So now I have $4. And I get a 4th loan. Okay. And the Netherlands. And I think I only have 2 here. I don't think those English captured unrests, I don't think they changed the state of my territory once it's recovered. That's $2 more and a soldier that I don't have. That's $4 more. We're right at, we're getting very close to the limit here. Oh, was it worth it, Spain? Well, I'm not the one who declared war. The big question, was it worth it, England? England has nothing in unrest, though. Oh no, they got one there. Oxford or Orlando or something. That's a rebellion. No army there? No problem. That's a cube for the English. Probably should bring my dice with me so I can do this. Why do I have a big cube? I forgot to recover London. That's why. And finally, Austria, who I think has no problems. Blessed be the patron saint of the empire. I don't know who that is. All right. That will put us to income and upkeep. And I'm going to hold there because I'm pooped. Need to go to sleep. You know, need to play my addiction a little bit more. And then need to go to sleep. But wow. Lots of ick. Oh, this guy, something's up with him. He did the siege. That's what's up with him. Next turn, he's going to move and start causing more problems. I woke up with a little bit of time. And instead of going out and spending that time in the beauty of nature, I couldn't, go walking, but I could go outside and sit on my porch or something. Now, I'm going to come up here while I wait for my addiction period to roll around. And it's an ugly one this time. I got like a 500 energy boost coming to me. And I have to go out. And that's always tough to manage. Income and upkeep. Okay, good enough. We're going to be looking at what everybody's producing. And it's going to be kind of shockingly different numbers for a number of reasons. So let's get going. I'll come in and report on anything interesting, I guess. What I hate about this is I have to carry the rule book with me for this little track there. I don't think it's duplicated anywhere, but it's not just this track. I also have to check all these things. I do it nation by nation because I find it's easier to work one nation's entire book to, really to the cleanup phase. The score prestige I can do as well. I haven't been doing it, but I can do that in with everything else. So I'm finding it kind of weird. The Imperial cubes get matched here. Where does the Imperial power get changed? I'm running through this at this phase. I haven't hit anything that said I needed to change the Imperial power. I know I need to do that from before, right? I have lost control of Flanders and Wallonia, but I don't see anything yet. Now maybe it just happens at whatever time, which would have been the peace phase a turn ago. But I'm like, I counted it in the calculation that the Imperial power is only 3. I didn't count the manpower though. 3, 6, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I should lose an army. Just making sure I don't have any on the board. I should also lose a cube, one of those pale gray cubes. But I may not be correct there. I'm a little fucking confused. Leaving the HRE. If all provinces in an HRE area are owned by external realms, and with their capital located outside, that area will automatically leave the HRE. I don't think it has a when aspect. I don't think there's a specific time when you check this. I think it just happens. And here's the marker. These are really weird markers because they look like they're imperial markers. There's an X or a single slash across them to indicate that they are not imperial territories anymore. And at this point, Flanders and Wallonia is entirely owned by external powers and slips out of the empire. That drops the imperial power, and that happened immediately during the peace phase, I guess. And I have to pull a cube off the board. Now, the Austrians are a cube short. I don't want to give this up. You see how I could have gotten into the same position, with the Poles, and why it maybe isn't that bad a thing. I could see somebody being intransigent and like, I paid for this damn stuff. I'm not, taking. Yeah, but it's really painful to leave it out there. You know what? But Hungary is one of my bloody goals. I need to get that up. And likewise, some of these other areas are really, really important. I kind of don't want to give up a goal. Bohemia is one of my goals, but I feel like maybe I'm too weak in Bohemia. I will take the extra cube, and that would be, it would have been a military power cube. Just because I'm so low on cubes, especially with Maximilian here. All right, so I think we addressed that. We've got the marker in place. The board is kind of crowded, just like the old one was, where things are really happening. Like here, there's all these control markers and all kind of other information, the claims and whatnot. It's hard to keep track of what's on where. And, when you're having to tag marriages to specific provinces and whatnot, it's tough. You could just have them stacked, but it still would be tough, like finding the empty space to put the cubes and some of the other markers. Some of the markers, like the religious ones, are fine. But like when you're on land, these expanded trade markers, that's a really tight-looking area. It's kind of looks like a religious change there because there's not room, not a big circle like there would be. The map's big enough. Like in terms of, Jesus, you wouldn't want it to be any bigger maybe? I mean, at a con or whatever, but in terms of like playing it at home. But it's really pushing the limits of what this size can handle. And the old one did the same damn thing, so I wouldn't wouldn't put it too far there. Okay, there's a religious rebel here. If an area is in religious dissent, put all these pentagram face up. That should be the case there. And possibly in some of these other areas, if at least two more of your, if rebels occupy your capital and at least two more, you can change state religion to adopt the religion of your capital area to your new state religion, and then you remove the problem. I think I should, I don't know what those rebellion markers, what those heresy-looking markers do other than this. Yeah, I think that's only to indicate that special case. But okay, so first of all, I started with the wrong country. I wanted to start with the ship and move around, but I did Austria for some reason first. But then I got to Poland, and I realized, wait a minute, this country is in revolt. This is not part of the Polish territory, and I'm not really sure whether this destroys the vassal situation. I'm trying to figure out if that has some effect. And I don't even really know quite where to look. So a province which is assigned a rebellion result or sieged by this is liberated if it is occupied by an enemy of its lawful owner, in which case the occupied person just gets it back. The core province of a realm other than the PR which owns or has vassalized it. Yeah, I think my vassalage is just gone here. And I think it actually happened on a province-by-province basis. It hasn't really impacted anything, but it might have made life easier to regain. Now, this is interesting. Do I have another vassal somewhere? Because otherwise I seem to be... Yes, I do. I have Warsaw as a vassal. Okay, good. So actually that improves my manpower situation then. I had taken a manpower out of the exhausted. May also improve my tax situation. Yeah, it gives me another buck. But at this point, I no longer have this vassalized, so I can get rid of that marker. And I think this army remains and will wander around next turn. It's freed, it's liberated its home country. But yeah, I would have lost the first one that I chose, and I don't think that could be the capital. So yeah, I would have lost my port on the Black Sea. Interesting. I'm struggling with this, playing it solo. And you know, I always struggle with new games, right? But you can get some idea of how hard it would be to bring this to a new group. And you know, maybe you've read the rule, maybe you've all read the rules, whatever, but for a lot of people, probably it's the first time they're playing with the pieces. Obviously, you wouldn't start with the grand campaign. You'd start with the simple scenario, and you'd write off the mistakes like I'm doing. But I'm just pointing out, you know, it's got the same kind of overhead in terms of, with the old EU, somebody had to understand the game and understand how it worked and kind of help guide the situation. And I think that's going to happen, you know, unlike, say, Here I Stand or even Virgin Queen. The idea of everybody coming in knowing the game is probably really, really lower chances than on this than it is on most other games. Now, almost every group I've ever played with, even when I go to cons, and supposedly everybody knows the rules. Everybody needs a refresher, so somebody goes over the rules and whatnot, and sometimes, you know, there's just, people learn new things under those circumstances. But that's very different from now the con I went to was part of the issue here. I wasn't going to like Avalon Con or whatever it's WBC now, where you don't register for a game unless you know it. But the idea of like playing something that you don't know at a con maybe seem a little odd. Though when I was at UB, I would put up games fully with the expectation that people who knew the game were going to come, and that maybe not everybody would know the game, but like regularly the people who came to those board game events, there weren't a lot of board game events, were like, huh, I wanted to try that, or that looks interesting. I had 3 Canadian guys who knew each other as the only people who showed up at my Pax Britannica game that I ran the one year, and I was like, yeah, and I also ran it with a modification to try to handle some of the timing issues. And between the two things, people who had never played the game before, and that there was that I had kind of made the timing issue go into where it wasn't sort of a game of eternal chicken, where people had to make their decisions secretly as to whether they were going to prosecute. It just blew the game up and ended up in the World War right away. All right, I don't know where the hell I am. I did the manpower. I didn't check prestige, but I should. Turks have the same issue. This is their vassal. So we lost that vassal entirely, and the claim to it, and the Mamluks have grabbed part of it. Yeah, I should be doing this as well. It's the board and status matters to clean up. This should be included in there. Yeah, I understand this one is collect income, although score prestige isn't really that. But the update manpower can be squeezed in there, and that's the thing that I wasn't doing. Turkey managed to get an income of 15 after paying maintenance costs. Pretty sweet. That got them their score. I think they got like 1 or 2 points off of it, and also a couple of admin cubes. Not restrained by too many cubes on the board. You get some really nice production here. Even Bayezid's nothing all that special. He's a decent leader, but I also have the ability to put my advisors down and know that they're going to give me stuff. So that's kind of cool. On the island here was an infantry. I'd probably disband him during the cost-cutting stuff. But he's an artillery. It still might be worth disbanding him. It's an obnoxious situation to be in. See, I can't be on top because it might be an unrest. Everything's so painful with the crowding. Now, here it's not that crowded, and I do have room to do that. But it's still... It annoys me because I know elsewhere I've kind of got to have people. There just isn't that much room. But I can find room. He's going to fall over the first time I roll dice. I think that cube's there. All right. I did the French, huge quantities of money. Not so many cubes. I did find a couple of cubes hiding in the military unit tray, which might have restricted them. I know the French were short on cubes at one point in the game. They don't have many deployed for diplomacy, but they have a lot in here. But I have plenty because I have kind of a lousy leader right now and not a whole hell of a lot of advisorship. What I did notice, and I haven't gotten to Spain yet, but this impacts them, now I don't remember what it was. Yes, the Claims and Alliances card, which I check, when I'm over here and remember, and I'm looking at stuff, I'm like, oh, are you sure? And I found they have claims to Naples and to Flanders and Wallonia at this point, which would be 2 of the places, and all, oh, no. Oh, claim to Bohemia, hold on. Lower Saxony. I'm not going to have this, but that's over here. Okay, so the English also will meet this, but they don't. The Spaniards don't have the cubes. The English might. They have no cubes in Flanders and Wallonia, but they do have the cubes in Lower Saxony along with the claim, which means there's sort of a people are getting close to being able to score this claims and alliances card. I really hate the card. It's such a pain to keep track of. All of those are a pain to keep track of, but that one in particular is really problematic for me. I get too lost, which is close to being. One of the things I wanted to mention was, as you move into this period where countries are really kind of forming and becoming real powerful nation states, one way or another, either expanding their towns or expanding the control of the territory that they're claiming is the really big issue here. So Turkey, France, huge amounts of money. I don't think I paid the interest on my loan for Turkey. I don't recall doing it. I do recall paying the interest on my loans for Spain, which is what I wanted to get to, unless you have a big pile of loans, in which case you're not going to have this huge income coming in. But I'm going to be able to retire some of that loan at a time. I needed it for the war. One thing with the Spaniards, I saw they also lost the territory of Sus over in Morocco. That's now a free state, essentially. And the new capital of Morocco, because that went into rebellion. And there was something else I wanted to chat about, but I don't remember what the hell it was. But yeah, I mean, it's just this case of you're starting to get huge quantities of cash, which means you can do more things. It's not like a snowball. So money was really the only facet on how many things you tried in the old EU. Your royal power, which is the equivalent to the cubes to some extent, what that was a limitation, what was a modifier to die rolls of the things you were trying. So if you wanted to, not siege, if you wanted to start a colony, you had to roll a die, and you had to compare that to your administrative capabilities to see if you got it off correctly. If you wanted to implant a new merchant level, you would have to pay, because each money was the real limiting factor to how many tries you got, but you would also have to roll a die to see if your merchant level went up. A whole bunch of things like that. You weren't expanding the actual towns. I kind of like the fact that towns grow. They do so in the computer game now too. So that's, again, this is a board game of the computer game, but the computer game has its roots in the old board game. So it's kind of interesting that way. Anyway, let me continue with the I gotta remember, where do I remove these little cubes? I know it's after I get the cubes, but a lot of people have played these, and so they should get their cubes back. I don't know where in the sequence that is, but I know it's safe now. One of my viewers had mentioned, hey, why aren't you using the papal powers more? And yeah, I forgot this turn, which might have been an important turn to do so. France was at war with England. They could have excommunicated the English. It would have cost 2 diplomacy cubes, though, in a turn in which I felt like I had to put them down because I thought the Italian wars were going to come. But they're going to come, and I really ought to have been investing, so I guess it's okay. And I won the war. It's not like so Crusades is one thing, and we had one of them. The Spaniards used that to get to their advantage and to score what they wanted. Oh, fuck. I haven't scored all of these either. Shit. God, I'm such a fucking scatterbrain. These little naps. I can't even remember what I'm looking up. The Crusades. Okay. So, calling a crusade was fine, and that worked perfectly well, and it was kind of a niche usage, right? Most turns you're probably not going to want to go conquer some Muslim territory. Most turns you probably have other things you want to do, but if your missions drive you that way, or if you just feel like going that way, like the first time I played the only time I played the old EU opposed, and we played for one night where we were supposed to play a whole weekend. One of the players, Venice, did things that I just found completely unexpected. Where he kind of zoned out on the victory points for the for that era, and said, you know what, I'm just going to do this, and started to go to war with things like he had Venice go to war with the papal states and stuff like that. It was just like, whoa, dude, I never do that when I'm playing solitaire. Largely, I see Venice as being so worried about Turkey that they don't want to get too involved. They don't, and also I tend not to get involved in wars when I don't have a casus belli, and I don't have an event which kind of drives the war, which is even more important than a casus belli to me. And here he was, just boom, taking a look at the victory point chart and saying, I need these things. I'm not bothering worrying for events or whatever. I'm not going to just stand stable. And the thing is, Venice doesn't have a hell of a lot of other stuff to chase after. So, if you pick your goals for territories in Italy, you better get them. The event might not come up. Unlike in this game where the events will come up, whether somebody selects them. And this is a little weird. I don't know how the computer game works under the hood in terms of events, especially nowadays. Like, I think most of them are completely random, but I think that there are fixed events that must happen in the computer game. Like, the 30 Years' War is going to happen. Now, in the old board game, it was very likely to happen, but it was possible that you could fail to get it. Just because it was a random events table, but the 30 Years' War held several slots in it, and as slots empty out, things drop down, and it held slots that were more likely to be gotten the later in the turn you went, in the area you went. So it would be almost impossible for you not to have that event redrawn. Same thing with the Spanish Succession. The problem with the Spanish Succession was the triggering events that were required. So it would you would roll it, it would be out there, and it would lay latent, and the triggers would never occur. And then, you would end up slipping into an arrow where it was no longer impacting or something. I don't know. Might have been reading it wrong, whatever. But I got kind of lost in my train of thought. Yeah, so the other thing you can do is excommunicate, but that costs you a couple of things. And it costs the ruler who's excommunicated a prestige, which could be a big deal. Takes one of their cardinals off the board. Well, if they're in competition with you for the cardinals, yeah, that makes sense. And then they have to discard some cubes, and everybody has a casus belli against them. But it's kind of you can bone somebody a little bit, but I don't feel like, unless you have agreements with people that they want that casus belli, or you want it, that you really want to excommunicate a player. The fact that France was at war with England, my cubes had better usage than to fire them off for that. And that may be kind of why I'm not using it very regularly. And in and of itself, it doesn't generate points unless you're in absolute control of the papal curia. It's also hard to get. Only you need those man of the church cards, and you need to choose to use them for the papacy, or you need an event that gives you papal power. But anyway, France controls the papacy right now. I'll try to keep that in mind if, my drunken blackout doesn't erase it. So wowzer, Spain has its entire 20-piece manpower pool in play. They can't get any more. They had the couple increased manpowers. It's going to be really hard for them to hit that goal. Let me look at people's goals and make sure nobody reached anything that I've calculated so far. Defend the empire. Owner vassalized 2 of Brescia, Franche-Comté, Namur, Luxembourg, or Holstein. I think I have none of them. King Albert, owner vassalized 5 among Silesia, Zagreb, Rijeka, or any provinces in Bohemia or Royal Hungary. I think I've got none of them. Defeat the Knights, owner vassalized Prussia. Yeah, I don't think so. Jagiellonian dynasty, owner vassalized 4 more of Bohemia, Royal Hungary, Hungarian Plain, or Transylvania. I have not succeeded in any of those. Now, what's appropriate here, some of these are about nations that did grow and they fit well, but Poland did not get that goal, right? They did not gain territories in Hungary, as far as I know. They might have gotten 1 of them. They certainly had, their interests, though. Safeguard Anatolia. Owner vassalized 5 or more of Karaman. I think I failed because I got driven out. I mean, I would have been out anyway. Or in areas adjacent to Karaman by land that are not among your core. I do not have that. Mediterranean supremacy. Crete, Cyprus, Malta. I have Cyprus. Crete, Cyprus, Malta, Sardinia, or Baleares. I need 1 more. And Crete is the obvious easy one. And that'll get me injected into Sicily. But Sicily's not part of the Italian adventure. I might actually be interested in trying to put the pincer on Venice for real. Like, I'm thinking about going to war with them and attacking Crete. And then just, hey, peace. I get Crete. But now I've actually got a land bridge going over there. I could fight them. I could fight them for real. Zara's one of theirs. That's one of my goals, even if I don't succeed. All right, but these I know we got. End English occupation. England has nothing in Aquitaine, Brittany, and Normandy. Gain a claim in Seine. I had this, didn't I? Didn't I do this? And either remove 2 pitchforks or gain 2 cubes in Aquitaine, Brittany. Brittany and Normandy or Languedoc. I used claims to clean those off. I can trigger this now. I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to do it when it first happened. Gain a claim in Seine. I don't want that. Well, I can't. I own it all. And then either remove 2 pitchforks or gain 2 cubes in Aquitaine, Brittany, and Normandy, or Languedoc. I could get rid of 1 pitchfork at this point. So I will put 2 cubes in Languedoc. I don't really like spending my cubes, and I'll take my 5 victory points. And then this one will be scored. And then subjugate the French dukes, owner vassalized Provence, Anjou, Nantes, and Rennes. I got them all. Gain a claim in Burgundy or Lombardy. In each of Brittany and Normandy and Aquitaine, if you own all province, gain a core value there. Okay. Brittany and Normandy and Aquitaine. This is not a core. What is this? Oh, it's a Casaspella. Interesting. Okay. So Brittany and Normandy and Aquitaine are now core for me. Now, that just gets rid of the English claim to those areas. I get three prestige. If you gain no cores, you get some military capability. Gain a claim in Burgundy or Normandy. Burgundy or Normandy. Burgundy, I own. Not all of. There's Savoy. I could try to get that. Or Normandy. Normandy, or no. Brittany, Burgundy or Lombardy. I already have a claim in Lombardy. So let's take our claim, I guess, down here in Burgundy. And we scored that one as well. I should really have the numbers facing, but okay. The Spaniards, I did not form Spain because I do not own Aragon. I also don't really, I don't know, Leon's in revolt. Italian ambitions, own or vassalize 5 provinces in Naples, Sicily, Corsica, Sardinia. Naples, Sicily, Corsica, and Sardinia. Well, no. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm one short. And finding that last one's going to be hard unless I go to war with the Turks. I am in no position to be willing to go to war with the Turks, though. Big as my army is and powerful as Spain is, and now with a truce with the English and everything, because my financial situation with all those loans. Sorry this took so long. I had to blunder through it. I'll also take a look at the English ones. I don't think they succeeded. They were occupying the territory they wanted, but they're not going to be there. There is to fill my pipe. And boy, beginning to see how long, each of these little inner phases that I'm playing actually takes. It's been about 45 minutes that I've been up here. Probably most of it on film, unfortunately. It would move a lot faster if I wasn't chattering so much. I caught a couple of mistakes or omissions. The owner of the Papal Curia gets an additional, what is this? Bonuses. Oh, Jesus. They get a whole bunch of things here. I don't know what the fuck this is meant to say. So, they get cheaper dudes. And since France has a dude, I'll give them $1. I completely forgot about that advantage. They get a diplomacy chit, and the Emperor got one as well, which I shifted out of their military because they had this, which was over there. But they've got this other stability. Oh, their stability costs are lower. Shit, well, I would have done that too. Hard to remember. It's all the way over here. It's hard to see. The only place where there's a reminder of it. It would be helpful if, you pass this, although it's a thin stock, so that probably wouldn't work very well, to the player who actually is the papal controller. So, and it also includes the imperial player, so, yeah, I don't know. Also, I did the income for England, and we are seeing why Henry VII was so parsimonious and avoided wars and such not. England's in a lot of trouble financially. They went on this adventure, and it didn't go well. Let's just put it that way. Had they not gone on that adventure, they'd be in much, much better shape. Maybe not as rich as France or Spain is right now, or Turkey, but at least they wouldn't be trying to break the bank. Of course, Spain isn't rich. Spain had their bank broken, but yeah. Anything else that may be an oopsie? I think it is. In the board cleanup, remove alliances from bots and enemy DNPRs that have a tax income of 10 or more. Let's check their tax income. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, they can still keep the British alliance. Okay, good enough. We got our first legitimate colonists there for the Spaniards. Here's where the remove cubes from the national supply is. Remove all hearts, none, adjust imperial cubes to match the empire. I lose one. Because my imperial power went down. That should have happened last turn, but again, we're screwing things up. Remove all units, remove any tags from committed to crusade. We don't have any. First player token moves, and the status markers move. First player, Poland, then France. And this resets, but we're not ready to go on to the next turn yet, because we have to build the deck. That's going to be kind of weird. Anyway, I don't have time to do that today, because my addiction is ready already. So I'm going to go to the end of age routine here, and that'll be it for now. But he's running through there. They jumped off my roof, and I just thought I'd catch it real quick since I was starting my camera and saw him jump. So this is kind of weird. This is wow, I love the clouds and the mountains. This is a odd situation because it's a Saturday. Now, I got a ride home last night, which every now and then happens, maybe happening more often. But that gets rid of the long walk home. Got home, I ate a lot, and started playing my addiction because I had huge amounts of energy that came, that I was able to stave off collecting before I went out. But anyway, I got too tired and passed out, which makes sense because I didn't get as much sleep as I should have. And then I woke up and, I don't know, like 11, which is really weird for me. Usually I sleep most of the day, and I'm in pretty good shape. My body hurts like hell, but mentally and everything, I've been okay all day, which I don't know what the hell happened. The drive, getting driven home rather than walking, you would think I would be more drunk when I get home or whatever. I don't know. All right, but for this, we're going to end this video on the end of age routine, and this is the first time I'm going to work through this, so some patience, of course. There's tons of patience for me all the time, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I think then we're going to load this up and not worry about doing the initial card selection, and we'll move that more to where it really belongs. Okay, prepare and place the event deck for the next stage. Well there. It does not give me a reference. I believe, so this is, if we look here, in the scenario book, I think. Excuse me. Yeah, so age 2 is set. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of randomization, just like I did in the first age, but being very careful to follow certain rules. So like, I'm trying to remember what those rules were. So a 1 has to go in the 1 era, a 2 has to go in the second half of the deck. 3s are a little weird. As to which of these guys go in, that's a little weird. Why are some of these bold and some not? I don't know the answer to that. I didn't even see this. What the hell's this stuff? Poland starts the game without a ruler, but is presented. This is kind of weird. Oh, these are the new powers. Was there something like this in the original? Okay, so I would need to be in the scenario setup section. Constructing event decks, what do the bolds mean? They may have something to do with bots. I don't know. I don't know. All right, but I'll try to muddle through that. So I just started, but for the most part in this game, I haven't needed to go to my new glasses that are a little bit better for my eye, for close-in reading. But to read these little numbers in this lighting, I need them. I just ran into a problem. I'm doing the wrong scenario. I was looking at these and I'm like, the Low Countries aren't revolting? Wow, Italian wars aren't happening? What's up? And then I got one that's Russia. And I'm like, oh boy, the time of trouble is coming up. That's unacceptable. It's in the same era? Well, yeah, I mean, this is a 4-era scenario for the whole thing. So I will try again. I was really running into these issues where I'm like, wow, the wrong cards are coming up and I'm not happy. Like, this doesn't look historical. Like, things like the Dutch Revolt were getting replaced with a comet and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't mind if the Dutch Revolt doesn't happen, if the Dutch don't form as a country. I'm fine with that being a possibility. I'm not, although it is not a possibility in the old EU. Part of the reason for that being that in the Grand Campaign, the Dutch one of the players becomes the Dutch. The Venetians turn into the Dutch. Just kind of an interesting thing because, so like, Portugal is very much into colonizing, etc. Russia, yes, they have their colonies to the east, but it's a very different kind of, they don't have to explore in the same way. They just push into the land and can start colonizing it as soon as they clear the area. So there's a different flavor to the kind of colonization actions that are being taken place. Plus, Portugal's huge on trade. Russia is a big land power, eventually at least. Theoretically. They never actually are, but that's a fault in the game. But there's a significant difference to what you're playing between those two. However, with Venice and the Dutch, yeah, the Dutch are interested in exploration and whatnot, but both are very much centered on trade. Now, the Dutch a lot more than the Venetians. You would think differently, but it's not the case. The Venetian trade power, you know, it's all in the Mediterranean and everything. It's just not that impressive. But both powers have a lot of interest in the trade side of things comparatively. So there's a little bit of similarity there, and both are kind of weak land powers compared to their neighbors. I figured out a good way to do substitutions. I tinkered around with something the first time where I was rolling dice, but then had to reverse some of them. I may have slipped one in that was different. Basically, the different kinds of numbers here, and I had done half of it off the right chart. The different kinds of numbers, they say these numbers like 21A something are absolutely vital. The game doesn't work if you don't put them in. I'm not sure I believe that. Let's see, what do we have here? A events are integral to the game. For the game engine to work properly, each must have exactly 8 A events. Yeah, but you could shift around what they are. These are kind of generic in some cases. So, yeah, those could be shifted around. And they give you kind of the random meat of the engine, sort of the random events that happen that aren't really historically tied. The next type are B events, which are used to fill out the rest of the event decks and are often replaceable. The scenario lists which Bs can be in there, but you know, you could pretty much shuffle anything from the B deck into those. And honestly, I'm a little iffy on why, you know, okay, maybe there was a specific comet that came around that was a big deal here. But plague, you know, that could be shifted. I don't believe that the A's are all that necessary in terms of when they happen. So this is, and that's why they have an X on them. So like the decks being pre-packaged with those, I think you could randomize which particular A events are in at any one time, and you have a fair selection. But I didn't do that. I just put the programmed ones in this time. The B events are a little bit more, well, they're truly, again, kind of random, but they're based on filling out the deck. And if we look at the Bs, let's see some of them. These are more story associated, right? They are really kind of linked to the time period and the things that are happening. And you have like Portuguese colonization in there, which presumably is going to be the way that the Portuguese get over there. And this is where the revolts in the Low Countries is an A, right? And that feels like it's vital to the storyline. And then the final set is basically a pair per. So those Bs, you want them to go in pairs. Like the first one is Revolt in the Low Countries. The second is the Netherlands declares independence. Stuff like that. The final set also needs to go in pairs, and they're basically realm-specific events, things that I don't think the countries would work well. So you need one of them per player. But there's certainly a lot of events that I'm not using. Like, I'm not using the majority of them. Now, some of these are, again, realm-specific stuff for other scenarios or to-be-created scenarios or whatever. But, yeah, and then some of them have like a 1 and 2, which are kind of programmed to be in deck 1 or 2, and then a 3 and 4, which is what I kind of slipped in before. And it's really kind of confusing to me. I don't feel like I've got enough of a grasp of the event system to be able to reasonably make up a mechanism for distributing the events on the fly at random. So I'm going to be playing with what the scenario, from now on probably, what the scenario kind of advises you to do. Now that will change drastically if I do knock out a player country, right? First of all, the player-specific ones, those would have to be swapped out. That's an easy change. But the balance of the scenario may have been, or the interest level or whatever, may have been generated in particular. So, there was some stuff with the Crimean Tatars doing something. That's kind of off the edge. Maybe Turkey and Russia, or Turkey and Poland have enough to do. So that was left out. But this is a real event that happened and would impact those countries. So it's kind of weird that something's in and something's not and stuff like that. The choices just feel like they didn't want to make it too rich on the historical events. So instead of just cramming it full of historical events. So I kind of feel like I'd want something that, shuffles up a bunch of the, I don't know. I really don't know. But shuffles up a bunch of the events and like all the ones and deals them out with a mixture of historical and B events in there, because I think it should be possible for all the historical events to actually happen that impact that area of the board, the area of the board that you're playing on. So I don't know. I got to make a count, see if I've got this right, and this was more fatiguing than I thought it would be. Basically, the thing that I'm uncomfortable with is, A, every time I play this grand campaign scenario, the same events are going to be programmed in. That's one facet. Another is that I shouldn't know the events. Now, I'm okay on this latter one, sort of, as much as I can be. And the game is like, make sure you record all the events that you're putting in the deck so that everybody, you know, is able to refer to knowing what's going to come and whatnot. I'm like, whoa. I really oppose that. Like, my feeling is, sure, there was knowledge that the Dutch might revolt, but the actuality of it was somewhat surprising. A number of the things in the game are somewhat surprising, in history, were somewhat surprising. And those often are the big event things. Now, there are some big event things, like the Spanish Succession, and succession wars in general, that I feel like, yeah, they're sort of laying out there like landmines. People know about them unless, it's something like, Prince Arthur dying. Nobody knew that was going to happen, right? And you could have a succession problem coming because of a royal dying at an odd time or whatever. All right, well, let's keep going. Remove all milestones from the previous age from the game and replace them with 4 from the deck belonging to the next age. Okay, milestones are these things, and that means not going to work on these anymore. So if we were setting up to get that high income or to build force limit, too bad, you had one chance. Well, 4 chances. Okay. So these are by era. And I believe these come at random from... I gotta find... Yeah, we got more milestones there. Era's milestones have been picked up. Cleanse heresy. Enforce force conversion peace terms against any realm. Wow. That gives you $6 plus the normal victory. Suppress revolts. During phase 3, have no unrest. If multiplayers achieve this simultaneously, highest number breaks ties. Okay, that's... Was there something else that was simultaneous in the old set? Yeah, whether or not income, whether or not... There were things like you calculate your income, it feels like something everybody would do at once, but it would go in turn order. Expand overseas. Own provinces on 2 or more distant provinces. If your PR starts with distant provinces, these do not count. This is not, I think, counted as a distant province. It's a discovery and that's it. They haven't expanded yet. Global trade network. Have merchants on 2 or more distant continents. Okay. Some expansion elements there and some internal ones. Good enough. What did we miss? Yeah, I'm always kind of interested to see what the options could have been. See, an income-based one. Have a lot of ideas. Get a big trade. Win a big battle. Okay. Successfully siege opponent in the HRE with 2 or more tax income on the same turn. Wow. I don't know who that favors. Like, you would think maybe Austria, but they don't. Well, they can fight wars within the HRE to defend it and whatnot, so it might actually slightly improve them. Humiliating peace terms against an opponent. Religious unity. All main map areas of your realm are the same state religion at the end of the age. Huh. Now that's very likely at the beginning, but we're going to have the Reformation happening. Colonial tension. Have a claim on a distant area with an opponent's town. Annex a realm. Own all original core provinces of Portugal, Naples, Hungary, Tunis, Denmark, or Sweden. And it's just curious about the Naples thing. Like, we took out Naples. Was Ragusa part of Naples to begin with? Actually, Albania. No, Naples expanded a couple of times. So, yeah, it's just Naples itself. That's pretty easy. Circumnavigation. Move a ship from the America map to the Far East map, or vice versa. Basically, it's not even circumnavigation. It's just make that transit across the Pacific. Create a grand fleet. This would be a good one for England because they almost have that as one of their requirements already. And Mare Nostrum on 2 or more of Gibraltar, Malta, Genoa, Pisa, Ragusa, Rhodes, and Cyprus. Well, Spain already has that. Don't they? It's a vassal. Okay. Fair enough. Anyway. There's a possibility milestones can be swapped out, though. So, replace any unresearched, non-basic ideas on display with random display replacements of the same type. Okay. So this is their mechanism for getting rid of stuff. So colonization policy, the only one that hasn't been researched, which to me means these 8 ideas are what we're stuck with. There aren't going to be very many others. There are cards that allow you to pull new ones out, and then, hey, if nobody went for anything. So that's kind of an interesting concept that I didn't realize. So some people have added some. Let's see, did Turkey do something goofy? The military drill, for instance, I don't know. It's troublesome to me, actually, that there are all of these. And I think some of the cards that allow you to fiddle around with these only don't allow you to just take a new one. You have to replace an old one. So the fact that we don't have this is going to be a big deal. I had something else I wanted to talk about, but the Inquisition came back. Okay. Alrighty. The player with the least P's on the prestige track may choose to replace one new idea or milestone on display with a card of their choice chosen from the matching deck. Interesting. Okay, so that's going to be England has an opportunity. So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I thought it was already out there. No, they wanted to create the Grand Fleet. Again, that synergizes with them. The trade one is also very interesting, but they would rather not have other people follow them on the trade route. And the English definitely need a powerful fleet. This is a weird little catch-up mechanism. I'm not sure what it represents, but, a little bit of gaminess of that kind of nature doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really do any harm, I feel. Mainly because I don't know what these milestones represent. Like, why am I getting prestige for these and not for all of them? Why are they not all in play, right? Why aren't all the ideas available? I don't know. Players who have at least one marriage in play score a victory point, prestige point, and must then, in updated turn order, remove one of their marriages from the board from an NPR if possible. What's an NPR? Oh, non-player realm, yeah. Or pay 2 diplomacy to fix this. If a player removes their royal marriage from your realm, forcing you to do the same from theirs, okay, so those are reflexive as well as the truces. Makes sense. You must still remove another if you have one, or pay 2. So yeah, you'd lose one if somebody else took from you. Okay, well, This sucks because people put out a lot of marriages. I don't see any for France. Spain will be losing that, but they gain a point. It's worth keeping. Although it sucks to lose cubes. England. England has an alliance. That looks like a marriage there. Is it worth keeping? Yeah, I got tons of cubes. Definitely. Sure. Austria. Austria has marriages all over the place. They want to keep them. There's the Italian Wars, man. This cannot be. It looks like, let me make sure I got my manpower right. 2, 6, yeah. It looks like I just forgot to pull my cubes for the Poles. They don't give very many. Their weakness, the fact that they couldn't have cubes means they don't have advisors. Now they have a crappier ruler, and they're just kind of going nowhere. What about marriage? Do I have one? I do, and I damn well want to keep that, so I pay. I have another one in Bohemia, which I also want to keep. But again, this throws me further behind. Turkey has no marriage. Oh, I think I got Austria up, but I didn't get Poland. Turkey has no marriages, so they don't get one. And that ends this video. We will be heading into the actual beginning of the game turn for the next era with the draw cards phase. Up it goes.